Exclusive contracted novel by Feilu Novel Network. Urban Marvel scientist Fang Yan travels through parallel worlds and activates the Marvel technology system. Start with Iron Man develops super warrior serum in a month. Invention of Pim particles in half a year. With the big movie technology system, it directly leads the world in technology for hundreds of years. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1 Divorce. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ding. The host's vital signs have been detected to be stable, and soul binding can be activated. The big movie technology system is scanning the host's soul features, please wait. Congratulations. Soul binding successful. With a sweet and ethereal female voice coming from Fang Yan's head, he slowly woke up and regained consciousness. Where am I? Fang Yan looked at the unfamiliar ceiling and glanced around at the vast and magnificent room, as if it were a palace. He slowly sat up, holding on to his head that was about to crack with pain. Didn't I just drink with my colleagues? Why did you come here after taking a nap? Where is this? Fang Yan was puzzled when suddenly his head tightened and a massive stream of information surged into his mind like a torrent. After a moment, Fang Yan sat motionless on the bed, looking bewildered. Have I traveled? That's right, he has traveled. This is a parallel world like Earth, but he is no longer the mediocre and hard-working office worker who can only work from 9 to 9 in the grid. Instead, he is one of the 4 major families of the Holy Lan Kingdom, the only bloodline of the Fang family, an authentic playboy. What shocked Fang Yan even more was that his wife, Lin Miaoji, was actually the king of the Holy Lan Kingdom. The kingdom of Saint Lan is bordered to the south by ***, to the north by Russia, and to the east by various Southeast Asian countries. It is a small country sandwiched in a pack of tigers and wolves, struggling to survive. But the difference is that the Holy Land Kingdom is a constitutional monarchy, with an emperor above 10,000 people who can rule any country by will. Lin Miaoji, as the king, has supreme power. In theory, it is impossible for Fang Yan, an ignorant and inexperienced playboy, to be associated with a king of a country, let alone have any relationship. However, more than 20 years ago, Fang Yan's grandfather saved Lin Miaoji's grandfather, and the two agreed to marry through fingertips at that time. As this matter later spread to the world, the royal family of the Shanglan Kingdom had to let Lin Miaoji marry Fang Yan in order to preserve their reputation and face. But this marriage did not bring any substantial effect to Fang Yan, instead making him the king of soft meals among countless people. The only descendant of the Tang Fang family, apart from indulging in extravagance, drinking, and enjoying themselves, is useless and has been pointed at by countless people behind their backs. His bad reputation has long been known not only to his own people, but also to people from other countries. Of course, it doesn't matter if someone looks down on Fang Yan, as long as he has money and can be carefree. However, unfortunately, the once huge Fang family has completely declined, and the property left by his parents for Fang Yan has also been taken by his uncle Fang Daqing. As a result, Fang Yan is now not even a wealthy second generation and has become a penniless poor person. Damn it! Do you want to be so unlucky? Fang Yan was speechless to the extreme, but he remembered that when he just woke up, he seemed to hear some system binding or other sounds, and planned to confirm again. At this moment, the door to the luxurious European-style room was opened, and a group of people walked in. The leader is a stunning beauty with a stunning appearance. With a jet black and straight long hair flowing down like a waterfall, graceful steps and graceful posture, cherry lips, skin white with a hint of red, a pair of starry eyes, tightly staring at Fang Yan who had regained consciousness on the bed. Jing Tian. Fang Yan looked in surprise at the stunning beauty pacing in front of him. From the received information, Fang Yan had already recognized this stunning beauty, who was his cheap king's wife, Lin Miaoji. But due to Fang Yan's brain still crashing a bit, he didn't react much. It wasn't until he saw Lin Miaoji in front of him that he realized that her appearance was particularly similar to that of a former female celebrity, Jing Tian. It's more beautiful than Jing Tian, and the figure is also much better than Jing Tian. Fang Yan looked up and down at Lin Miaoji and nodded secretly. Wake up. Lin Miaoji walked up to Fang Yan, and a black bodyguard behind her brought her a chair. She smoothed her skirt and sat down elegantly, with a face as if it had been frozen for thousands of years. Fang Yan nodded. He has just woken up and his mind is still a bit blurry, so he doesn't know what to say. This is the IOU you owed me yesterday at the casino, 62 million yuan. Plus the previous 2 times, you owe me a total of 157.63 million yuan. Lin Miaoji threw 3 IOUs in front of Fang Yan and said in a clear voice. Damn it. I owe over 1 billion. Is this person playing with snake skin? Fang Yan cursed loudly in his heart. From the received information, Fang Yan clearly knew that although his ex was already a poor man, the casino welcomed him very much and still respectfully called him young master. There was no other reason. Even if Fang Yan was so poor before, at least he was the husband of the king, which is well known throughout the country. Fang Yan didn't have money, but his wife had money. So every time Fang Yan goes to the casino to be all sorts of carefree, and then loses the bet, goes into debt, gets drunk, and directly sends him to the palace to ask the king for money. I know that with your ability, you will never be able to repay this money in your lifetime, and I can completely follow the laws of the Holy Land Kingdom to send you anywhere to do things you really don't want to do. But now, there is an opportunity in front of you to repay this money all at once without any cost. Lin Miaoji looked at Fang Yan and said indifferently. What opportunity? Fang Yan is very curious. 2 months later, it will be the National Day ceremony of Shenglan Kingdom. I want you to officially sign a divorce agreement with me in front of 500 million citizens at this National Day ceremony. As an exchange, these debts will be written off uniformly. Chapter 2. Superpower Marine Corps. Micro-robots. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Upon hearing these words, Fang Yan immediately understood. This cheap wife wants to take the opportunity to divorce him. Although the National Day ceremony was a bit too grand in front of 500 million people, Fang Yan thought to himself, after all, it was also a king's divorce. What's the use of secretly divorcing? It must be known by the people of the whole country in order to be useful. However, in this way, not only the entire Holy Land Kingdom, but also the whole world will know about this great event of the king's divorce. Isn't his inflammation equivalent to losing face and throwing it all over the world? No, it seems like I don't have much face anymore, right? Fang Yan immediately remembered the fact that he had already been called the king of soft rice by the Chinese people. Anyway, without face or skin, do you still care about continuing to lose face? Moreover, despite Fang Yan having such a stunning wife, from his ex's memory, Fang Yan learned that although the two were married, in reality, Lin Miaoji did not let Fang Yan touch her at all, and nothing happened between them from beginning to end. What is the difference between having such a wife and not having one? It's better to use it to offset debts, it's a bit more useful. Okay, I promise you. Fang Yan nodded without much hesitation and agreed directly. Upon hearing Fang Yan speak so calmly, a hint of surprise flashed through Lin Miaoji's beautiful eyes. According to her understanding of Fang Yan, he now has nothing left, only the title of king's husband that can sustain his life. Without this title, Fang Yan is completely destitute. How could he not even think of such a request and simply agree? Is this still the playboy from the Fang family she knows? In return for your grandfather's kindness to our family, I can offer you some compensation. Tell me, what do you want? Although Lin Miaoji was extremely eager to sever this marriage relationship, how could it be said that the Fang family was kind to them in the past? If it weren't for Fang Yan's grandfather saving her grandfather, how could the Lin family now hold the position of king? So at this point, Lin Miaoji is willing to give Fang Yan some compensation. If it's compensation, just pour me a glass of water. I'm almost thirsty now. Fang Yan pinched his throat and his lips dried up. Is this the compensation you want? Lin Miaoji's eyes lit up with a strange color. Yes, that's enough. Fang Yan nodded. Give him a glass of water. Lin Miaoji waved his hand and immediately a black bodyguard brought a glass of water to Fang Yan. Fang Yan drank it all in one gulp and even had a satisfying hiccup. Alright, that's all for today's conversation. 2 months later, I'll be waiting for you at the National Day ceremony, hoping you can keep your promise. Lin Miaoji stood up. Don't worry, I'm not interested in this title at all now. Fang Yan grinned and casually said. Just as Lin Miaoji was about to turn around, upon hearing these words, she paused and couldn't help but take a second look at Fang Yan. She always felt that Fang Yan was completely different from before. Although she was somewhat unexpected and unrestrained, she did not delve deeper into it. A playboy is a playboy, even if it looks different now, the inherent uselessness is still the same. Immediately, without looking back, she left with a group of black bodyguards. Bang! When the door was closed again, Fang Yan regained his senses. As soon as I traveled through it, I experienced scenes where the king was his wife, the family declined, owed over 1 billion yuan, divorced his wife in order to repay the debt, and so on, which only happen in movies and TV dramas. This is much more exciting than his boring life, where he used to work from 9 to 9 every day. By the way, I heard something about the system just now. What exactly is it? As soon as Fang Yan thought of this, a sweet and ethereal voice suddenly came to his mind. Master, I am Xiaoying. It's my pleasure to serve you. There really is a system. This time it's developed. Upon hearing the response, Fang Yan immediately became excited. This is a necessary tool for travelers to make a fortune. Xiaoying, tell me quickly, how do you use this system? Fang Yanlian hurriedly said. You are bound to a movie technology system, and every time you complete a task, you can randomly unlock a technology from a movie. The more tasks you complete, the more powerful the unlocked technology will be. When you complete all tasks, you can even unlock all secrets and become an omnipotent god. Becoming a god. Upon hearing this, Fang Yan's heart couldn't help but accelerate. What is the concept of becoming a god? Immortal, control everything. Is there anything more exciting and enjoyable than this? What is my first task then? Fang Yan asked eagerly. Your first task is to successfully create your first film technology and use it to earn over 1 million St. Lance coins. The value of Shenglan coin is the same as the original RMB, which is equivalent to Fang Yan needing to use film technology to earn 1 million yuan. Creating the first film technology. I don't understand anything, how to build it. You're probably not teasing me, are you? Fang Yan said with a speechless expression on his face. Considering that this is your first time binding to the movie technology system, I will give you a new People's Congress gift package as a gift and randomly unlock a movie technology for you. Fang Yan's eyes lit up and he said, hurry up. I want a new gift package. Ding. The newcomer gift pack has been delivered, you have a chance to unlock movie technology. Ding. Unlocking successful. Congratulations on obtaining the technology from Supermarine Corps. Micro-robots. The system's ethereal and sweet words fell, and suddenly a wave of information filled with various numbers, parabolas, and function equations flooded into Fang Yan's mind. After a moment, the transmission was completed, and Fang Yan could clearly feel that there was suddenly a lot of technological knowledge in his mind that he didn't even know or understand. Chapter 3. If a woman is like this, what can she ask for? You are listening at novelfull.audio. In an instant, Fang Yan seemed to push open a new door, presenting a completely new world in front of him. After a moment, the information transmission is complete. This information transmission not only brought the manufacturing method of micro-robots to Fang Yan, but also inputted all relevant scientific basic knowledge into his mind. Without technology and corresponding scientific basic knowledge, it is useless. It can be said that Fang Yan is now an authentic scientist, and his knowledge can be comparable to that of any doctoral student in a research institute. That's amazing. This micro-robot is simply a manufacturing artifact. With this existence, anything can be directly completed. After experiencing it for a long time, Fang Yan couldn't help but marvel. He has also watched Supermarine and naturally knows how amazing the micro-robots invented by the protagonist are. By controlling a large number of micro-robots through brainwave consciousness, they can make any action, complete any task, and achieve many feats that are difficult for humans to achieve. For example, an extremely complex building model can take a month, 6 months, or even longer to complete with human labor. But with micro-robots, it only takes a few seconds. In the world of micro-robots, only you can't think of it, without it, you can't do it. Now that this thing has been brought into the real world, what kind of impact can it have? Just thinking about it makes one's blood boil. But manufacturing requires raw materials, I need to go back and find the materials first. Fang Yan quickly got up and left the royal palace dormitory. Prince Fang. When the guards see Fang Yan, they will still bow respectfully. How to say that Fang Yan has not officially announced her divorce yet, and is still Lin Miaoji's husband, ranking as a prince. However, this prince has no other function besides bringing titles such as Soft Rice King and Waist to Fang Yan. Familiar with the way, Fang Yan left the palace and walked in the direction of his home according to his memory. If I had known earlier, I would have charged Lin Miaoji an extra 100 yuan for a taxi. I was exhausted from walking all the way back. When Fang Yan arrived home, he was already exhausted and panting heavily, out of breath. He originally planned to take a taxi home, but when he touched his pocket, he found that his pocket was even cleaner than his face, and he couldn't even afford a bus. Well, Fang Yan had to walk back hard on both legs for almost 3 hours before finally getting home. Fang Yan's home is a villa courtyard, covering an area of 3,000 square meters, located in the bustling commercial area of the royal capital. To have a villa courtyard in such a location, one must have a noble status in the Holy Land Kingdom. Fortunately, Fang Duqing also snatched the house, otherwise he would have really been defeated by me. Fang Yan felt a little relieved. In the past, he was the most typical and useless spendthrift. He pawned everything valuable, indulged in extravagance, and spent money like dirt. If it weren't for this house being in the hands of his uncle Fang Duqing, he wouldn't have been able to sell it. I'm afraid he probably wouldn't even have a place to live now. Young master. As soon as she arrived at the entrance of the yard, a girl who was assembling a pile of handicrafts in the yard suddenly looked up. When she saw Fang Yan, her eyes showed surprise and she threw down the handicrafts in her hand. She quickly shouted and ran over. Li Yitong. When Fang Yan heard the call for him, he followed the sound and saw a beautiful girl who was almost the same as SNH48 Li Yitong in the yard. She was wearing a maid's dress and ran towards him happily. She was surprised. At this moment, he suddenly remembered that the beautiful girl in maid costume in front of him was his close maid from childhood to adulthood. Fang Yitong. Fang Yitong is an orphan who was favored by the Fang family at the age of 3. She was taken back and adopted by the Fang family, and was raised as Fang Yan's future maid to fill the house. She has always been with Fang Yan. In the Holy Land Kingdom, commoners are monogamous, but nobles are exceptions. No matter how many wives they marry, it is a legitimate thing. It is precisely for this reason that Fang Yitong has regarded Fang Yan as a future husband since childhood, taking care of him meticulously. Even though all the servants left due to the decline of the Fang family and Fang Yan's endless loss, only Fang Yitong remained willing to serve Fang Yan, never giving up. "Young master, where did you go last night? I searched for you all night but couldn't find it. Are you okay?" Fang Yitong quickly opened the door of the yard, grabbed Fang Yan's hand, looked up and down, afraid that something might happen to Fang Yan, and his eyes were full of worry. If a woman is like this, why bother with her husband? Looking at Fang Yitong's exquisite and beautiful face, Fang Yan, who had suffered many misfortunes, finally felt some comfort. "I'm fine, I just drank too much yesterday and slept on the street all night." Fang Yan smiled and said, "Yitong, I'm a bit thirsty. Go help me pour a cup of water." "No, I'll still get a pot of water. I've been walking for 3 hours and I'm exhausted." "Aha. As long as you're okay, young master. I'll go pour you water now." After Gulu Gulu drank up a large pot of water, Fang Yan finally recovered. "Yitong, do you have anything to eat at home?" Since waking up, Fang Yan has not eaten anything yet. As soon as he drank water, his stomach immediately began to growl loudly. "Young master, please wait a little longer. I will quickly make this batch of handmade goods and send them over. This batch can be exchanged for 50 yuan. Fang Yitong wiped the sweat off her forehead and smiled sweetly, "Then I can have a bowl of beef noodles with you, young master." Handmade goods. Fang Yan just saw the handmade products that prescription artist Yitong has been making not far away. "Go up and pick up one, it's the simplest kind of handmade shell skewer. Tie the shells together with ropes." After a rough glance, a box as high as knees may not be able to be finished in a few hours. However, after working hard for half a day, you can only earn 50 yuan. It can be seen from this that Fang Yan's life is so tight. "Yitong, starting from today, you no longer need to make handicrafts." Fang Yan looked at Fang Yitong seriously and said, "And in the future, we will not only eat beef noodles, but also eat all the delicacies and delicacies. Eat until we're tired." Chapter 4. Great Success. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Fang Yitong stared blankly at Fang Yan, without any reaction for a moment. In the past, Fang Yan was always indifferent to her and didn't even look at her in the eye. Because Fang Yan had always claimed to be a noble and believed that Fang Yitong was a lowly maid who was not worthy of him, so he always spoke with a look of disgust and disgust. But now, Fang Yan's attitude has not only improved, but he even looks at her so seriously, promising to take her to eat all the delicacies. With a determined tone and serious eyes, Fang Yitong's heart warms and a sense of happiness arises naturally. No matter what the young master says, I believe you." Fang Yitong tried hard to nod her little head, especially sincere, and said with a hint of excitement. "Hee. Let's go, I'll take you to see what high-tech is." "No, it should be black technology." Fang Yan smiled and grabbed Fang Yitong's shoulder, then chuckled. Fang Yitong leaned tightly against Fang Yan, her small heart racing and her face blushing with shyness, like a ripe red apple. She lowered her head, remained silent, rubbing her hands together, letting Fang Yan lead her into the room. "Fortunately, I've played with those fox friends and dogs on robots for a while, and in order to compare, we had all kinds of advanced tools. Once, the Holy Land Kingdom sparked a frenzy of assembling robots due to the popular movie Super Robot from M Country, and Fang Yan and his aristocratic and wealthy second generation also followed suit and made a big fuss. At the most exaggerated moment, Fang Yan specifically used a whole room to store various parts and tools, and even hired many experts in assembling robots to help, just to be richer than those fox friends and aristocrats. But obviously, those flashy robots, compared to the micro-robot technology that Fang Yan currently masters, are simply insignificant and have no comparability. In the end, the heat didn't even reach a month before it was completely abandoned, but it left him with a whole house of parts and tools. "Young master, are you going to assemble a robot? Fang Yitong asked curiously. You'll know later. Fang Yan gave a mysterious smile. After sweeping around, he picked up a hammer and walked up to a cool robot that had been eating gray for several years, then suddenly struck it with a hammer. Fang Yitong was startled. Fang Yan dismantled the entire robot, laid it on an electronic bed, and then directly took out the electronic components inside with his hands. According to the knowledge of micro-robots in his mind, what should be integrated, what should be modified, and what should be reassembled should be reassembled. Young master, do you still understand this? Fang Yitong's small head leaned towards Yang Taheo's side, and a pair of watery big eyes looked curiously at him. Fang Yan's hands were like instruments, never stopping, every step was incredibly precise, without any hindrance or consideration. It was as if he had done it tens of thousands of times and was already familiar with it in his heart. After finishing these parts, Fang Yan quickly started writing programs on the computer to control the micro-robot. Although the computer has not been used for several years, because it is at the top level, even in the past few years, the configuration can still be considered among the top ranks, so the process of writing programs is very smooth. Wow! You can still write computer programs. Fang Yitong seems to have discovered the new world. Based on her years of understanding of Fang Yan, her interest in computers has only been limited to various online games. But she never expected that Fang Yan would even be able to write programs. It's a piece of cake. Fang Yan smiled proudly. Complete the parts, programs, and everything. Next, we have reached the assembly step. Due to the fact that micro-robots are models with two hexagonal cones and a circular bearing embedded in the middle, Fang Yitong also participated in this project and helped Fang Yan assemble them. After a full 4 hours. Great success. Fang Yan and Fang Yitong were both sweating profusely from exhaustion, but when they saw that a whole 100 micro-robots had been completely assembled on the electronic bed, Fang Yan immediately showed a joyful smile. Fang Yitong also showed a brilliant smile from the bottom of her heart when she saw Fang Yan so happy. Come on, Yitong, let me show you my black technology achievements. Fang Yan's gaze flickered and he directly put on the EEG controller. In order not to appear too abrupt, Fang Yan made the EEG controller look like a pair of glasses. Sha. As soon as Fang Yan put on his glasses, his thinking immediately became active. With the transmission of brainwaves, all the micro-robots lying on the electronic bed seemed to come to life one by one, quickly gathering together and directly assembling into a brain-sized micro-robot. Wow! Stars popped out of Fang Yitong's big eyes, and as she looked at this big and micro-robot, her eyes were full of surprising brilliance. Yitong, do you see that? This is my black technology. It can be assembled into any form I want according to my thoughts and feelings. For example, now I want it to turn into a circle. Wow! All the micro-robots were instantly assembled into a regular bracelet ring. Transform into a square. All the micro-robots were instantly assembled into a square solid. Turn it into another palm. All the micro-robots were instantly assembled into a 3-dimensional palm about the size of Fang Yan. Wow! This is so amazing! Fang Yitong's eyes were filled with excitement and surprise, and his two little hands couldn't help but applaud, so excited that everyone jumped to the ground. Although she is just a maid, as a maid of the Fang family, she still has some vision. But the thing before her is completely unfamiliar and cool, something she has never seen before. Of course, what surprised Fang Yitong even more was that this cool robot was handmade by Fang Yan. Unfortunately, the raw materials are still not enough. Otherwise, I could create more micro-robots. Not to mention these simple things, even skyscrapers will be built for you to see. Fang Yanhao said, Yitong, go and bring those handicrafts. It's time they came in handy. Chapter 5. One day. You are listening at novelfull.audio. A box of handmade accessories was presented in front of Fang Yan. One part is shells, and the other part is connected wires. Fang Yan raised his hand and the brainwave had already been transmitted. I saw hundreds of micro-robots rushing out like a swarm of ants, entering the box. But in the blink of an eye, when hundreds of micro-robots popped out of the box and returned to Fang Yan's hands, the shells and threads in the box containing handmade accessories had already been connected together. Wow! Fang Yitong covered her small mouth and looked at the finished product in the box with surprise in her eyes, unconsciously exclaiming in surprise. She quickly stepped forward to pick up one of the finished products and took a look, only to find that the micro-robot not only had astonishing speed, but also had a more excellent and perfect completion than her handicrafts. Young master, this is too powerful. Fang Yitong's face was filled with incredible expressions, checking one string after another. Each string was so standard and perfect, much better than handmade. Hee, this is just a piece of cake. Fang Yan smiled and said, send these to the manufacturer and bring back some more. We're going to have a good meal tonight. Fang Yitong nodded repeatedly and said with a bright smile, the manufacturer will definitely be very satisfied with these finished products. As expected by Fang Yitong. When the manufacturer saw the batch of finished products assembled with extremely precise micro-robots, they couldn't help but show an unexpected look. It was precisely because of this that Fang Yitong was able to bring back several more boxes of accessories. Pour them all together. Several boxes of accessories were all dumped on the ground, piled up into a small hill. We're starting. With the transmission of Fang Yan's brainwaves, 100 micro-robots quickly began to move again, frantically assembling these accessories at lightning speed. About 10 seconds later. A few boxes of perfectly shaped shell bracelets, all lying flat and neatly back in the box. Oh! That's great! Fang Yitong clapped her hands excitedly, as if she were a child. The admiration in Fang Yan's eyes grew stronger and stronger. What? Everything assembled. When the staff watched Fang Yitong and Fang Yan carrying several boxes of complete shell skewers back, they were surprised and widened their eyes and mouths. He clearly remembered that 10 minutes ago, Fang Yitong had just taken a few boxes of accessories from him. It had only been 10 minutes, and surprisingly, all of them were assembled in one go. What international joke are you joking about? The staff quickly picked up the shell bracelet from the box for inspection, and the more they looked at it, the stronger the shock in their eyes. The workmanship of these shell bracelets is all very perfect, and the places where the ropes are tied are not too many, just right. Each string is extremely exquisite, and there is no flaw in it. Master, how many shell bracelets do you still have that require manual outsourcing? Fang Yan spoke out and asked. There are still many more. The staff only then realized and quickly asked, did you do this? How did you do it? Why was it so fast? I'll let you know later how to do it. Take me to your warehouse first, and I'll cover all the rest. Fang Yan said directly. Did you cover everything? The staff was surprised and said, there are still many items in our warehouse that require a large quantity, otherwise it would not be possible to outsource and distribute them. Are you sure you want to package them? This type of small accessory does not have a specialized machine for production and can only be done manually. However, their factory has received a large order and the number of workers is limited, so they are too busy to outsource some of these. Of course. Fang Yan nodded and said, it's not a big deal. I'll take care of everything. Okay. Wait, I'll go tell the boss. When it comes to a large quantity, it is no longer up to the staff to decide alone, so it is natural to ask the boss for their opinion. Quickly, the staff brought a middle-aged bald man over. Boss Song, he said he can undertake all the subsequent assembly work. Look, this is the finished product he made. It's done exceptionally well. The staff member held a shell bracelet in their hand and pointed at Fang Yan, saying, Young man, do do you have much experience in making this kind of assembly? How many people do you have in your team? Boss Song glanced up and down at Fang Yan and asked. I think I have some experience. As for the team, I'm currently the only one. Fang Yan said. A person. You're not joking with me, are you? Boss Song frowned at once. Boss Song, take a look at these boxes of shell bracelets. I'm here to make money, but I don't have time to joke with you. Fang Yan pouted and said. Mr. Song picked out several shell bracelets from the box for inspection and found that the finished product was not only better than the outsourced personnel, but also more perfect than many skilled workers in their factory. Okay, you come with me. Mr. Song said, taking Fang Yan and Fang Yidong to the warehouse dedicated to storing raw materials and accessories. I saw the box containing seashells, densely packed and piled up like a mountain, filling hundreds of square meters of warehouse. How huge is the quantity that needs to be assembled? Many workers are burying their heads in assembly over there, their hands too busy to stop. Our factory has received a lot of orders recently, with a large quantity. In order to fulfill these orders, I have expanded my recruitment by 100 people, but it is still not enough. I had to choose to outsource them as a last resort. But even so, time is still not enough. If you can assemble all of these within half a month, I can pay you a reward of 100,000 yuan. Boss Song said. This quantity is 100,000 yuan. Reasonable. But Mr. Song, if I can assemble it in advance, I'll have to give some extra compensation, won't I? Fang Yan said with a smile. If you can compress the deadline to within a week, I can give you 200,000 yuan. Boss Song said. What if I can compress it to solve it within a day? Fang Yan gave Boss Song a sidelong glance. Within a day. Boss Song gave Fang Yan a puzzled look and said, if you can really do it, I can give you a reward of 300,000 yuan. Chapter 6. Instantly solve the battle. You are listening at novelfull.audio. However, it's basically impossible to complete it within a day. Boss Song clearly did not take Fang Yan's words seriously. For these large orders, he recruited more than 100 people on top of the original factory, and the recruitment notice has not been removed until now. This shows how huge the workload is. For you, of course it's impossible, but for me, it's different. Fang Yan chuckled and said, Boss Song, it's a fixed price of 1 million yuan. I'll take care of everything for you in one day. I guarantee you can pack and deliver the goods today. How about that? 1 million. Upon hearing these words, Boss Song frowned. A stranger who doesn't know his background or any details, let him come into contact with his warehouse orders, which is already very sincere. If it weren't for Mr. Song seeing that Fang Yan's craftsmanship is more exquisite and perfect than everyone else, why would he spend so much time talking? But now when Fang Yan starts talking, he's only 1 million yuan. How could Mr. Song easily believe it all at once? Moreover, it is simply impossible to complete all order volumes within one day. 1 million. It's not impossible. But how do you want me to believe that you have the ability to meet all my needs? Boss Song is a businessman who values his interests. Even if it's impossible, he is willing to give it a try whenever there is an opportunity. Since Fang Yan has boasted about this, he certainly needs to see whether Yan is bragging or really has this ability. I just know it's not that easy. Fang Yan grinned and said, Hey Tong, go and move a box of materials over. Fang Yidong quickly stepped forward and carried a box of materials to Fang Yan's feet. At this moment, the busy workers in the warehouse also noticed the movements on Fang Yan's side and cast curious glances. I saw Fang Yan pull up his sleeves, and on his arm, all 100 micro-robots were attached to him. Seeing those micro-robots, Mr. Song's gaze flickered. Boss Song, keep an eye on it. As Fang Yan's thoughts moved, these 100 micro-robots immediately received instructions and quickly flew out. Like a group of bees, rushing directly into the box. In an instant, 100 micro-robots began to rapidly connect those shells at a speed that was difficult to distinguish with the naked eye. About 3 seconds later, 100 micro-robots have once again penetrated into Fang Yan's sleeve, and all the materials in the box have become exquisite and perfect finished products. This. Boss Song was startled by the scene in front of him, his eyes widened suddenly, and his face showed an incredible shock. Boss Song, let's check it out. Fang Yan smiled and made a gesture of invitation. Boss Song quickly squatted down and grabbed a few shell bracelets from the box. As expected, each shell bracelet was so perfect, flawless, and completely flawless. You just. What was that? Boss Song was so shocked that he stuttered in his speech. It's just one breath of effort. A box of materials has turned into the most exquisite and perfect finished product. This kind of assembly speed is really terrifying. Boss Song doesn't need to know. How about that? Do you think I'm qualified to take on your business now? Fang Yan smiled and said. Yes, there is. Boss Song's face suddenly burst into a smile. After witnessing Fang Yan's formidable ability with his own eyes, all the prejudices and doubts that Mr. Song had before dissipated in an instant. Since Boss Song has agreed, then don't waste your time and start straight away. Let your workers stop first, pour all the materials back, and put them neatly. Fang Yan didn't talk nonsense, he gave orders directly. Everyone, stop for a moment. Boss Song nodded and then spoke loudly, shouting to the workers who were working. His voice echoed continuously in the warehouse. All the workers in the warehouse stopped assembling and looked at Mr. Song. Now pack all the materials back. They're all neatly arranged. Pack the materials and put them back. Boss Song's words made all the workers look at each other with confusion on their faces. Didn't the factory say that the order volume this time is very large, and the required quantity is very large, and the manpower can't even handle it day and night? Why are you still making them stop wasting time now? But no matter how much they were puzzled, it was no use. The boss spoke up, and of course they had to comply. They put all the materials they had not assembled in their hands back into the boxes and piled them up again. Boss Song, why stop? The project schedule is very tight now, and we don't have much time left. At this moment, the supervisor in charge of supervision walked over and asked with a serious expression. Old Joe, just do as I said. Don't worry about the project schedule, it's all settled now. All solved. Upon hearing these words, Manager Zhou showed a puzzled expression. All the assembly work that follows will be handled by Mr. Fang alone. Boss Song said. All assembly, is he still the only one? Boss Song, did you make a mistake? The supervisor glanced at Fang Yan and was filled with question marks. Alright, you don't need to say much about this matter, I have my own discretion. Boss Song raised his hand and said without a doubt. After a moment, the materials were packed up and the workers' eyes fell on Mr. Song, young man. Well, I haven't asked your name yet, your name is? Fang Han. Fang Yan replied. He did not reveal his true name. Don't be fooled by the fact that he is now a nationally renowned figure, infamous, and the scandal has spread to the whole world. But that doesn't mean everyone needs to know him. Moreover, his glorious deeds are really unattractive, and Fang Yan doesn't want to bring himself into trouble for no reason. Since Mr. Song and these workers didn't recognize him, Fang Yan just let it go and just casually say a name to deceive them. Ha ha ha. Mr. Fang. Do you have anything else you need to prepare? Boss Song smiled and said. No need, just stand by and watch. Fang Yan walked straight forward. The eyes of the workers all gathered, filled with doubts, not knowing what the person wanted to do. It felt like he was a bit familiar, as if he had seen him somewhere before. However, from the moment Fang Yan released 100 micro-robots, the workers completely forgot about this issue. They all opened their mouths wide and stared at the scene before them, their faces filled with disbelief. Chapter 7. Shocking Technology. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. I saw the 100 micro-robots moving rapidly in the box. In 3 seconds, when 100 micro-robots drilled out of the first box and then into the second box, everyone saw that the materials that needed to be processed had all become finished products. In an instant, the workers around rushed forward and reached out to take out a shell bracelet. They carefully stared at it and were shocked to find that each shell bracelet was exquisitely crafted and perfect. Their handmade things were simply scum in front of these perfect finished products. How on earth did this come about? What are those things like ants? Too fast. My eyes didn't even keep up. Is that the equipment specifically designed for producing this type of product? What device looks like this? It's really eye-opening. That's amazing. Look at this workmanship, I feel inferior. The workers were amazed, and were so shocked that they couldn't come to their senses for half a day. Rao, Mr. Song, who had already anticipated the construction in his heart, couldn't help but take a breath of air when he saw the scene in front of him. He was shocked by the super high efficiency of micro-robots. I'll be obedient. The supervisor on the side was so shocked that even the catchphrase from his hometown popped out, his eyes wide-eyed, as if he had seen a ghost. Although they are not big shots, they consider themselves to have seen some of the market and have a considerable vision. However, Fang Yan's micro-robots gave them a head-on blow with unimaginable visuals, shocking them and broadening their horizons, witnessing an unprecedented super high-tech. Watching 100 micro-robots constantly jumping back and forth in the stacked boxes, wherever they pass, all materials will inevitably become the most exquisite and perfect finished products. This efficiency has surpassed the level of abnormality and reached the level of a demon. Boss Song, have you seen it? You can prepare 1 million now. Fang Yan turned around and said to Boss Song with a smile. Old Zhou, go notify the finance department and bring 1 million yuan of the reward money prepared for the workers to the expert Fang. Boss Song dared not neglect at this moment and quickly instructed. Mr. Fang, who was originally called, has now suddenly become an expert in Fang. The workers next to them were filled with mixed feelings when they heard these words. This time, in order to catch up with the schedule, Mr. Song directly took out 3 million yuan in cash as a reward for active employees. Whoever does more and does well will be rewarded with a large amount of cash on the spot. That's also why they worked so hard. However, the appearance of Fang Yan completely ruined their prize money. But they had to be convinced. In just 3 seconds, a box of materials can be turned into a finished product, and the level of craftsmanship is countless times better than their manual work. Such efficiency, even if the hundreds of workers present combined, is not fast enough for others alone. After a moment, when the solid cash of 1 million yuan was presented to Fang Yan and personally delivered to him by Mr. Song, Fang Yitong's 2 eyes were already shining like high-power light bulbs with thousands of watts on the side. Young master, you are really amazing. Fang Yitong was extremely excited. She has seen 1 million before, and after all, she used to be a servant of such a generous family. She has seen much more in the market than most people. But now her situation is very different from before. If it were in the past, with the background and influence of the Fang family, as long as Fang Yan relied on these 2 words, it would be easy for him to make money. However, now Fang Yan has no background, no foundation, no connections, and no one to help him. It is in this situation that Fang Yan has earned a real 1 million. This is what truly excites Fang Yitong beyond her control. Tong, take this money and once I solve this order, I'll take you to a big meal later. Fang Yan handed the box containing the money to Fang Yitong and smiled proudly. As long as you can be with the young master, whatever you eat is fine. Fang Yitong gave a sweet smile, her heart filled with a sense of happiness and sweetness. About half an hour later, as the final box of materials also turned into a perfect finished product, Fang Yan finally brought the micro-robot back into his hands. "Boss Song, it's already done. Let your employees check it out." No need for Fang Yan's reminder, the workers have spontaneously started the inspection. Quickly, the workers all shook their heads with sighs on their faces, and a lingering shock remained in their eyes. Surprisingly, it's all done. This is less than an hour. This kind of efficiency is terrible. If all factories have these devices in the future, where will we go to work? While workers lament, they are also worried about their future destination. They have been busy for so many days without being able to handle it. Fang Yan, alone, used a bunch of unknown things and assembled all the products in less than an hour. If this kind of thing is popularized in the future, they may have to be laid off. "Expert Fang, is that thing you just did a robot?" "That small robot, it's the first time I've seen it. I didn't expect it to have such a magical effect." "Expert Fang, let's make a price. I want to buy all your small robots. This kind of equipment is too important for our factory." Mr. Song is a shrewd businessman who has witnessed the power of micro-robots and naturally understands what it means to their factory. No longer requiring workers, nor too much other equipment. Saving a lot of costs. And the product's craftsmanship has been directly improved to the maximum. Of course Mr. Song is tempted by such a good thing. "I'm sorry, Mr. Song. I have something important to leave for now. See you later if you have the chance." Faced with Mr. Song's proposal, Fang Yan had no intention of answering at all. He grabbed Fang Yitong's hand and left the factory in a meteoric manner. Suddenly, a ding sound came to Fang Yan's mind. "Congratulations. Successfully completed your first technology mission." Chapter 8. Dubai. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Got it. Fang Yan was delighted in his heart. Reward. Unlock a new technology. Random extraction is in progress, please wait. Ding. Unlocking successful. Congratulations on obtaining the technology from Supermarine Corps. Dubai. As the system beeped, Fang Yan's eyes lit up and a surprise appeared. Dubai, the undisputed protagonist in Supermarine Corps. Although it may seem like a chubby, inflatable and rechargeable robot, it has sparked a big white craze in the world of Fang Yan due to its cute appearance and kind nature, sparking global discussions and expressing everyone's love for it. In terms of technology and craftsmanship, Dubai may not be as good as the micro-robots in his hands. But in terms of commercial value, the impact on society, and the level of global populism, it is much higher than Bai. After all, micro-robots are not something that can work well in every hand. For example, if they fall into the hands of the villain Professor Karahan and cause a huge disaster. But because they are essentially nursing intelligent robots, apart from detecting human diseases and health conditions and dealing with small wounds, there is no force to speak of. Therefore, no matter where they go, they will only bring help and benefits to people. Yitong, we're going to make big money soon. Fang Yan laughed heartily and said. Just one movie can make people all over the world love it so much, let alone move it into reality. With Dubai's current level of intelligence, coupled with its silly appearance, it will definitely be loved by people. Such intelligent robot products can definitely set off a strong storm in this world. Young master, are you going to invent something again? Fang Yitong was so happy to see Fang Yan, and she followed suit with a bright smile on her face. That's right. I'm about to invent this thing, and I guarantee you'll love it when you see it. Fang Yanhao's airway. I love anything that the young master invents. Fang Yitong held Fang Yan's arm and laughed as if she had eaten honey. Subsequently, Fang Yan and Fang Yidong went to the best restaurant on the commercial street. Without saying a word, all the dishes are ordered at the most expensive point, and whatever is expensive is ordered. Young master, we're just 2 people. You ordered so many dishes, we can't finish it. Fang Yidong felt a bit distressed and worried. Give me another Australian lobster, the top of the line. Alright, that's all for now. Hurry up and serve the dishes. Fang Yan handed the menu back to the service staff and said to Fang Yidong with a smile, Yidong, if you make money, you should eat, drink, and enjoy yourself. And don't worry, when I come up with a new invention, it won't matter if it's just 1 million, 10 million, 1 billion, or even 1 billion. I said, we will eat delicacies every day in the future, and I guarantee you will have enough. Upon hearing these words, Fang Yidong's small face suddenly blushed. As long as the young master is happy, I will be happy no matter what I eat. Fang Yidong has no great ideals in this life. From the day she was adopted by the Fang family and told that she was a woman of Fang Yan in this life, Fang Yidong recognized Fang Yan. Therefore, whether it is eating delicacies or eating rice husks and vegetables, Fang Yidong will never hesitate. In this way, the 2 of them had a delicious meal, and Fang Yan tasted various delicacies that he had never tasted in his previous life. At the last checkout, facing a bill of up to 80,000 yuan, he felt no pain and paid in cash on the spot, leaving with a carefree demeanor. The next day, Fang Yan got up early, which was rare. Toothpaste was squeezed on the toothbrush of the wash basin, and a nutritious breakfast was already placed on the table. The clothes I changed yesterday were also hung on the balcony, swaying gently in the breeze. Good morning, young master. Fang Yidong was wearing an apron and greeted Fang Yan with a sweet smile. No need to ask, these are all her masterpieces. I really don't know what I used to think. With such a good woman by my side, I turned a blind eye and instead went out to seek pleasure and indulge in extravagance every day. It's like wasting a lot of money. Fang Yan sighed from the bottom of his heart. But that's okay, the unparalleled wife belongs to me. It's so delicious. Stop being busy and have breakfast together. After breakfast, Fang Yan rushed directly to his studio and began to implement his plan. Yesterday, he spent the whole night comprehending and absorbing all the technological information about Dubai. Don't think that Dubai is just an ordinary charging and inflating robot with little technical content, but its internal driving engine and intelligent system implementation are very complicated. There are many steps required to present various technologies in reality. You should know that in Supermarine, the protagonist's brother is a character who is even more talented than the protagonist. However, in the process of developing the character, he also encountered countless failures before finally succeeding. Not only that, what Fang Yan needs to do is not only Dubai, but also Dubai's most core chip. In movies, those chips are simply the protagonist's casual busyness, swiping on the computer screen twice, and then generating them directly. But in reality, there is no computer that allows you to swipe on it casually. Not to mention the need for devices and machines that directly generate a program chip. From this, it can be seen that the difficulty of building a great white is not ordinary. But before starting, I need to do enough preparation work. Fang Yan called preparation work naturally means starting mass production of micro-robots. The previous micro-robots were all made from parts he dismantled from the original robots, which were relatively rough and had very few quantities. To achieve a devastating effect similar to that in Supermarine Core, it would take at least millions, tens of millions, or even hundreds of millions. Of course, manufacturing it now doesn't have to be as complicated as before. With these micro-robots in place, isn't mass production still an easy task? Chapter 9. The Birth of the Great White. You are listening at novelfull.audio. For the next few days, Fang Yan was busy running around. During the day, he went to purchase the materials needed to manufacture micro-robots and controlled them to rapidly produce a new batch of micro-robots. At night, he began writing intelligent programs for Dubai and also searched online for channels to obtain materials related to the production of Dubai materials. Fang Yitong helps her take care of her daily life, doing some tea and water delivery work. Occasionally, when she has nothing to do, she would stare at the computer screen with Fang Yan, watching him type down a series of codes. Although these processes are particularly tedious, Fang Yitong enjoys them tirelessly. 3 days later, the entire warehouse was almost filled with millions of micro-robots, all ready. All the black three-dimensional micro-robots piled up a whole house, accumulating into a small mountain, placed in front of Fang Yan, magnificent. 7 days later, with the final round of testing by Dubai, the complete version of the intelligent system was officially announced. Not only the complete version of the intelligent system, but also the medical care chips and basic order learning chips required for the operation of the game. Fang Yan has all been written and spent a lot of money to create the chip effects in Super Powerful Marine Corps. 15 days later, all the necessary materials and material models for Dubai will be purchased by Fang Yan. Finally, we're about to enter the final process. Fang Yan looked at a pile of brand new materials in front of him, his heart surging. The outer layer of ethylene resin, hyperspectral lenses, carbon fiber skeleton, aluminum electrolytic supercapacitors. And so on, all kinds of particularly difficult to find materials, made him spend a lot of time. Fortunately, his title as a prince still has some effect. As long as you give money, it is not a big problem to learn these news. After spending so much time, he finally managed to make it together. Young master, what are you going to do? Fang Yitong asked curiously. Give me 2 minutes, you'll soon know. Fang Yan gave a mysterious smile, and as he put on his glasses, his brain waves moved. Immediately, millions of micro-robots swarmed in, completely overwhelming the materials in front of Fang Yan's eyes. Although he couldn't see what was happening inside, Fang Yan had already formed a rough idea in his mind, and these micro-robots moved with his heart. It can be said that he didn't need to see it all, just closed his eyes and thought, and could complete all the manufacturing processes. Fang Yitong looked curiously at the pile of constantly moving micro-robots on the side, not knowing what kind of thing Fang Yan would create this time. Her small face was filled with anticipation. Not 2 minutes, just 1 minute later. All right. Fang Yan raised his hand and immediately the micro-robots quickly withdrew, turning into a torrent and leaving the room from all directions. And what remained in place was a box about 50 centimeters high, with a red plastic shell and a big white eye pattern printed on it. Young master, what is this? Fang Yitong asked. Yitong, you shout, "Ayo!" now, it's the sound you make when you're in pain. Fang Yan smiled and said. The sound of pain. Fang Yitong was confused and her eyes were full of confusion, but she still chose to follow suit. Looking at the box, she hesitated for a moment and stuttered, "Oh." As soon as the sound came out, the red box automatically opened. Quickly, as a white airbag continued to inflate and expand, a chubby, terrifying, and adorable white inflatable robot appeared in front of Fang Yan and Fang Yitong. It seems that the restoration is pretty good. Fang Yan nodded and expressed great satisfaction with his hard work for so many days. Wow! After seeing Dubai, Fang Yitong's bright big eyes suddenly burst into stars, which she couldn't resist and let out a voice of surprise and exclamation. Women have never had much resistance to cute and silly objects, and the cute image of Dubai can be said to be a representative of cuteness and bleeding in this world. At best, Fang Yitong is just a little girl. Dubai's killing power against her is simply a one-shot kill. Chapter 10, Second Task. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I saw Dubai step forward with 2 short legs made of inflatable rubber, dumbfounded, and step by step, lifting his hand to greet Fang Yitong. Hello, I am Dubai and I am your personal health assistant. Dubai's cute voice has been repaired by Fang Yan and is almost the same as in Super Marine Corps. From level 1 to level 10, what is your pain level? A light screen suddenly appeared on Dabai's stomach, displaying 10 icons ranging from happy to painful. This. Fang Yidong clearly didn't know how to answer and looked at Fang Yan in confusion. Dabai, there's no need to ask, just give her a full body scan. Fang Yan said. Dabai. That name sounds great. The cute and silly appearance, combined with this equally cute and silly name, made Fang Yitong excited again. Scanning in progress. The intelligent system inside the white body quickly operated, and through its eyes, also known as the hyperspectral lens, it quickly conducted a full-body examination of Fang Yitong. I have detected a slight muscle injury in your arm. I suggest you sit down now, take a break, and don't continue to be busy with heavy work. Mild muscle injury is nothing more than overwork and muscle soreness. Immediately, Dabai naively moved a chair over and gestured for Fang Yidong to sit down. Young master, Dabai is so powerful. Fang Yidong sat down with joy and reached out to touch Dabai's chubby belly. The soft and warm feeling made her feel like she was in the midst of cotton and couldn't put it down. Of course, this is my latest invention. Fang Yan proudly said, Dabai is like a family doctor who can quickly treat you when you are injured. Whether it is its ability to diagnose diseases or treat diseases, it is not inferior to ordinary doctors, and even stronger. And from your reaction, I can see that there will definitely be many people who like it. As a product of future technology, Dabai itself carries many incredible inventions and innovations. For example, it does not require contact and can scan the human body at a glance to see if there are any illnesses or allergies to certain drugs. The super-intelligent system far surpasses the technology of this world. Not to mention that there is just too much room for development for Dabai. As long as a chip that fits his central system can be manufactured, it can be transformed into Kung Fu Great White, Flying Great White, Singing Little Expert Great White, Soul Painter Great White, and so on. What Fang Yan has made now is just a rudimentary blueprint for the future of Dabai. Fang Yan's ambition is far more than that. Young master, what do you plan to do next? Fang Yidong has been completely conquered by Fang Yan's talent. She didn't expect that after creating a versatile micro-robot, Fang Yan could still create such a cute robot. This kind of thing, even the top scientists in the world today cannot do, but unfortunately her beloved young master has done it. As a result, Fang Yidong's admiration for the other party naturally reached a new peak in her heart. If you want more people to like him, then of course you have to start a company and mass-produce Dabai. As soon as Fang Yan finished speaking, the sound of the system suddenly rang in his mind. The second task was successfully unlocked. Task requirement. Successfully create 1,000 big white characters. After completing the task, you will receive a reward for randomly unlocking a new technology. Host, please complete the task quickly. Oh. Has the second task arrived? Fang Yan has been immersed in the production of micro-robots and the creation of a big white environment these days, with all his focus on these two technologies, completely forgetting about the system, let alone the task. He has long forgotten everything. 1,000 big white people. This goal is not easy. But after listening to the requirements of the task, Fang Yan thought to himself. In order to manufacture this big white, it cost over 100,000 yuan just for material costs. Not to mention the other expenses before, after, and after, they will never be less when added together. By this calculation, 1,000 experts would require at least 100 million yuan in funding. Young master, we don't have much money left in our hands. Will we not have enough funds to start a company? Fang Yidong worried. After purchasing a large amount of materials for micro-robots and manufacturing materials for big white machines, there was already very little left of the 1 million earned. Fang Yan is going to start a company now, so much money is a bit too shabby. Don't worry, I have found the target. Fang Yan's gaze flickered and the corner of his mouth lifted. A few days ago, I saw on the internet that the latest science and technology exhibition in Wandu is about to open. I won't worry about not having funds then.